You cannot avoid reality, your heavenly home, because you are always within it. November 7, 2014. The event for which you are all waiting, humanity's move into full consciousness, its awakening, its ascension, draws ever closer. I know you are becoming tired of hearing this kind of message. You want results, not rhetoric. Well, time is of the illusion, and although you experience it moving sequentially and at a relatively constant rate, this is not the reality of it. There are very few of you who have not been aware of time speeding up when you are enjoying yourselves, and of it slowing down when you are in pain. Time, like the illusion of which it is a major aspect, is purely subjective. That is probably difficult for you to accept or understand, and yet everything that you are aware of, that you experience is most definitely subjective. Ice cream, a dream, an illness, are all deeply subjective experiences. The joy you get from eating ice cream is not provided by watching someone else eat it. But your scientists have for many years been discarding subjective evidence, claiming that it is inadmissible as proof of an event, and demanding objective proof in order for them to validate it. But objective proof is still subject to their subjective opinions, needless to say their expert opinions, as to whether or not it is valid. And over the years many proofs that those scientists have validated have later turned out to be invalid. You, each one of you, and God, are one. Scientific proof of this truth is not available and never will be, only subjective proof is available. Only a few of you have had this most wonderful and ecstatic experience, and it did not last. In human form, embodied, you could not undergo this state of extremely heightened and intense energy for more than a few moments, or your bodies would just dissolve, disintegrate, or burn up. However, once experienced, this experience is never forgotten, because it is utterly beyond any state that you could ever imagine, utterly real, and completely unforgettable. Those who have had such an experience often attempt to describe it in words, but quickly admit that to do so is impossible. But the changes that occur within them as a result, their attitudes, their behaviors, their increased wisdom, and their uncomplaining acceptance of life in whatever form it unfolds for them, is immediately apparent to all who know them. And for many that is more than sufficient proof of the existence of an infinitely loving God in which all that exists is contained. Within the illusion, the only proof of the reality of God, of His eternal existence, is personal subjective experience, or acceptance of the validity of another's personal subjective experience. Once you accept that proof into your hearts, you discover or realize that no other proof is necessary, and a great weight is lifted from you as you relax into the knowing that God is all, and that you are an eternally inseparable part of Him. Your oneness with Source is a deep inner certainty, a knowing that nothing and no one can invalidate. If you want further confirmation from your 3D environment, then read some of the reports from those who have had NDEs, near-death experiences, and be inspired and uplifted. None who have had NDEs have any fear of death, nor do they have any desire for an early termination of their human existence. They know they are on their path, and they surrender totally to God as they go about their daily human lives, doing His will by being, sharing, and extending the love that He offers to all. So, to repeat, the event draws ever closer. All that you need do is to accept that divine guarantee, and then go lovingly about your daily busyness or chores. The important word there is lovingly. To lovingly go about your daily lives is all that God asks of you. He does not ask or demand that you change the world, because to attempt to do that is to engage with the illusion and attempt to solve insoluble problems with your human intellect, and that cannot be done. However, if you go lovingly about your day, every day, you will perceive that the world around you is changing. If you go forth lovingly, you will experience love, and if you go forth fearfully, you will experience fear. Up until very recently, people whose intent was to be loving used to find their intent oscillating regularly between love and fear as they listened to their friends and relatives, and occasionally heard some good news, or listened to the news media and heard of disasters and catastrophes. Now, enveloped in the tsunami of love as you are, you have unprecedented assistance to maintain a loving intent in every moment. all in the spiritual realms are now overlighting you 24/7 because the moment for your awakening is exceedingly close. The ocean of love that is following closely behind the tsunami that leads it is vast, unstoppable, and very close. Love is momentous, it absolutely overwhelms all in its path, and all that exists is always in its path. Within the illusion that you built and entered by means of your powerful imaginations, you chose to exclude God, the source of your eternal existence, thereby excluding love. But love is always knocking on the door of your heart, because it wants to fill you with the joy and ecstasy that only it can provide. And when you open to it, as soon you will find yourselves instantly awake. You cannot avoid reality, your heavenly home, because you are always within it. The pretense that you have been maintaining, that you live in a world that is a real and threateningly dangerous place, is dissolving under the enormous amount of evidence proving it to be unreal. You are in the process of returning to your natural state of eternal joy because that is your will and God's. Your loving brother, Jesus. Channeled by John Smallman. johnsmallman2.wordpress.com